7 minutes away from starting the live episode of ShopTalk tonight. I want to welcome everybody Sunday night. I'm Chris the Cycle Source, hanging in with you, and man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. See all of our friends from across the land in Choppertown piling in here, all the Cycle Source media, hungry audience ready as well. We're going live in just 7 minutes. Robin Cole, I see you there. Just about 5 minutes away. Anybody that's logging on here early, we're building up the audience, getting ready to go live with ShopTalk, getting ready to fire it up to go out of the station. Another exciting Sunday night here with us at the Cycle Source World Headquarters. Okay, scooter tramps and chopper jockeys all across the land. It's 9:01, closest we've been to being on time and longer than I can remember. And man, we're so glad to have you guys here with us tonight. I am Chris from Cycle Source Magazine. I'm gonna be your host tonight on Shop Talk, and as usual, I'm joined by my cohorts in crime. What's
Hiya.
up, crew?
I feel like I need to get you a gold star.
Well, because I'm so
you
close to
started
being on time.
almost on time.
Oh,
I'm
my
so
God.
proud of you. Way to go, little buddy.
Hey, you know, I'm working on it. Let's get Mark in here. What's going on, Mark?
Oh, you know, it's Monday.
It's
Monday
Sunday.
at work. We're on time. I don't even know what's going on.
It's Sunday at 9 p.m.
You got to stop doing that. I was watching somebody do a live show the other day, and they kept saying it was Thursday. It was actually Friday, but it screwed me up so bad every time he said it. I'd be like, I looked at him and I'm like, is it really Friday? Is it really Thursday? Did I miss a day?
Think about it though. In our world, does it really matter if it's Monday or Thursday, or I mean,
so
there's
quick
no weekends anymore.
Quick question from social media, Chris. No, are you a statistician? Is that what you do in real life? You like keep track of numbers and shit? Thanks for helping out. Anyway, first thing I got to get to real quick, man, before we go anywhere with this show, because there's so much for us to talk about all night tonight. But one of the biggest things, a very, very sad day, and my very sad obligation to report the passing. You guys were all mentioning this in text on the way into the show. Good Time Charlie, the Charlie Brechtel with the Charlie Brechtel Band, Bikers Inner Circle Radio, and man, a friend to so many of us through the years, keeping the passion of all this going. Yeah, it's super sad. Charlie passed away just yesterday, and the night before last, right?
Last night.
Saturday night, right?
Motorcycle accident, and I'm without words to express what we've lost in the motorcycle culture and what Charlie called motorcyclism. And
yeah, we've been getting phone calls all day long asking questions, so texts, and yeah, sad day. That guy was in the middle of everything. He was such a great guy.
Yep.
Life of a party, man. Everybody's been calling saying, never really spent a lot of time with him, but the little time I did spend with him, I'll remember forever. Yep. So yeah, it's super sad.
Really is. And I mean, that was, at the end of all this hard time to begin with, everybody's on edge about losing people, and but it seems like the motorcycle industry in general, not only in the last week did we lose Charlie, which was a huge blow to us personally here at the show, but also Kai Reiki.
Yeah.
Kai had been battling.
Another one there.
Yeah. Kai had been battling brain cancer. We had reported all the way back when we were, in Sturgis with Mondo, we were talking about the fact that there was outreach going on, and very sad to hear his passing too. But man, with Charlie, for me personally, I kind of feel like in some ways we lost a part of this, where there's so few people left that are holding the the old code and the old values. When people talk about old school and like what old time bikers were and stuff, I feel like Charlie was one of the last vestiges of that, and with him we're going to lose a piece of that.
I absolutely agree with you.
And you definitely are one of those people that, we grew up in this. This was, this is our lifestyle. This isn't, just like what we do. This is what we do for a lifestyle, or for our life. And he was one of the guys that you could always count on. You make a call, you talk to him, and he's going to set you straight, put you in your place, or tell you whether you're right or wrong. Just a big loss to the, to the culture in itself, not just as a friend, but to the actual culture.
Yeah, and he valued his word and your word.
Oh, yeah.
If he said he was going to do something, he was going to do it. And if you told him you were going to do something, he was going to hold you to it. And that's how it should be, and a definite loss.
I know Chris had spent some time just recently on Skype or Zoom with him playing some music, but the last time we were all together was the Cyber Rally, and just as it was going off, he was talking, and last thing he said to us in that whole Cyber, I was love you, see you soon kind of thing.
Yeah, man.
You never expect not to see Charlie. He was
heavy. It's heavy. Missy came and got us with the news early in the wee hours of the morning, and I just started texting everybody because I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just, and it sounds ridiculous to say something like that, but seriously, like, you hear about certain people dying, and it's like it doesn't take away the sting anymore. But like with Charlie, it was just like, are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding me that like...
Right. It was just like it wasn't going to happen. He had ideas, and he had so many plans, and it just, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You text me at 1:00 in the morning, and I read it, and I thought I was dreaming. I didn't think you actually texted me. I woke up at 5:30. What I texted this morning, it's 5:45 or something like that. I'm like, you're kidding me? No,
JC Guns.
I seriously thought I was dreaming when I read the text, and I went back to sleep and woke up and was like, wow. And then I said I got probably 3 or 4 people text me by 8 in the morning. Yeah, big.
Look at JC's sure. Look at JC's sad comment on social media. Them guys, us guys. That's how he taught me to fly. Yeah, and that was, man. Like I can hear his voice clear as day. Yeah. Man, them guys, us guys. They ain't like us. Oh shit. Well, anyway, got done writing Charlie's in memory of in the magazine for this month, and it brought me to my knees. But it reminded me of like how great his time on this planet was. I mean, here's a man that got to play with John Lee Hooker, and played in Russia, played in foreign countries all over the place, and like got to and he was his own person. I mean, sometimes to his own detriment, like some of us, but he was his own person, man. He did his own thing and accepted life on life's terms, and that was it.
And dude, he did it his way. I mean, think about it. Like you just said, no matter where he was or what he was doing, he was always good time Charlie. I mean, it never changed. He never
Yeah,
changed.
he didn't put on any different
And
costumes.
that's one
That's
thing
for
I
sure.
have to respect about him. You never got a fake Charlie. You never got a not all Charlie. You know.
So hey man, let's move on from that because it's getting hard for me to breathe up in here. I love Charlie. Kai, you were a great inspiration in the business too, and to all the brothers and sisters whose names were not mentioned in here. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of you guys in these hard times. In case this is the first time you guys are tuning in, this is a little thing we do every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We call Shop Talk. It comes from the headquarters of Cycle Source Magazine through the courtesy of the Dennis Kirk Studios. Remember, the motto there is that we ship today. If you need shit in a hurry, like I always do when I'm building something,
Like
Dennis Kirk ships today. Celebrating 50 years as a fine purveyor of motorcycle parts and aftermarket accessories. But this is social media based. We got, all the good stuff going on the side there. We want you guys to participate in this. Don't just sit around. Look, don't touch your face either. That's what everybody keeps telling me. Don't touch your face. And the more they tell me, the more I touch my face.
Did you bring your new face mask down to show everybody?
No, I should get that.
He has a custom face mask that he had specifically designed for these trying times.
Our daughter works in costume and design, and I made her sew it together. She's so disgusted with me.
Thoroughly disgusted.
That's even a bigger bonus. She doesn't understand.
That brings a whole new meaning to motorboating. Think about it.
Oh.
So until I can get you guys a visual, suffice it to say that it was made from a 36 Double D cup piece of apparel. And
dude, it works perfectly.
I was going to embroider
awesome.
in red embroidery. I was going to just embroider Double D on the front of it, but
boobies.
Like I said, she was already disgusted.
Yeah.
I figure if they're going to make me wear one of those things, I'm going to have fun with it.
Well, I mean, no offense, but you were in the middle of the store with your daughter putting bras on your face. I would be disgusted with you too. Just saying.
I was counting on it.
I'd expect nothing less. To tell you the truth,
good Lord.
All right, so listen, back to this thing that we're doing here. What can you do to get Shop Talk out there? Because what we do here normally, not in pandemic times, is about 90 to 120 minutes of all the news that fits. Some entertainment. We usually have a guest or two. We go through all the current topics, the current events that are coming up, and, do the best we can to pass along what Charlie called motorcyclism. Each week we bring it to you at Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ish. And we usually start
9:01 tonight, bitches.
Usually start the whole thing out with a little thing we like to call the news. First up in the news tonight, and this coming in through the courtesy of the Black Hills Pioneer, Sturgis announces plans for making rally decision. Not only is this our lead headline of this evening's news segment, but it has spawned almost what our entire program is going to be themed about. We're going to be talking about Sturgis here all night. But Sturgis, who had recently been beating the drum of full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, man, has now come out with kind of, and I'm just going to say this in my opinion, Heather, then I'm going to turn it over to you for the actual news part, but it was kind of a wishy-washy, we're not sure, we're going to take a barometer reading of everybody and then ask everybody and then sift through the information, and then maybe by the middle of June we'll figure it out.
Well, they were a little more concise than that. They have a very clear plan and a very clear timeline of how they're going to do this. And it's based on data that they have, based on the number of ventilators in the state, on the number of ICU beds, on the number of rooms that are available, because so many of the bigger corporations have shut down and have reduced travel tremendously. But they're also taking into fact the consideration that 43% of their population gets by on the revenue they make from the Sturgis Rally, whether it be from renting their house, renting tent space in their yard. So they are factoring that in as well. But long story short, they are going to make a decision one way or another by June 15th. That's 7.5 weeks prior to the official start of the rally. And they're going to just do it based on the data they collect over the next several weeks.
So we were saying earlier that, like, logistically, man, that's cutting it close for the people that have to go out there.
It's going to be hard.
Prep and I mean, I get what they're doing. I mean, safety, bottom line, I get it, but man, for
Well,
big people that go out there and set up, that's really
and you've seen almost any idiot with computer, like, roar onto social media and give their opinion. But we're actually tonight we're gonna bring in some people who have direct involvement both at the state and local government level, members of the community there. So we're gonna actually get firsthand news about what the feeling is locally, what the emotions are, what the climate is like right now in Sturgis, and what it means to them on a personal level. So
I have to say it's refreshing, and I know it's hope and it's optimism, but how much optimism there is right now when people tend to be leaning towards the darker side of things. There's so much hope that this rally is going to go off, and I keep seeing time after time is I'm going. Because, I mean, for so many people, they saved for an entire year to make this one trip. I mean, and this may be the one time that they ever get to do it.
Velda Voigt, are you kidding me? Thanks for my last husband, John Voigt. John Voigt was your husband?
John Voigt?
Was this his pencil?
Dude, I was just going to say, I think I bought his car.
Next up in the news. Yeah, we're a bunch of horses' asses. This coming in from Milwaukee Business Journal. Harley Davidson names financing unit chief to lead parts, merchandise, museum. Milwaukee-based motorcycle manufacturer Harley Davidson Incorporated continues making adjustments in its executive staff, most recently with the promotion of Lawrence Hund to Chief Commercial Officer of Harley Davidson Motor Company, a subsidiary of Harley Davidson Incorporated. Hund's new position was effective April 20th. He's responsible for global sales functions, which include Harley Davidson's motorcycle parts and accessories, general merchandise, and the Harley Davidson Museum business. While this transition, HUD will no longer hold his role as President and Chief Operating Officer of Harley Davidson Financial Services. He held this role since 2009. HUD will become Chairman of the HDFS Board of Directors.
Well, there you go.
Moving on up, Johnny.
So,
promoting from within. That's not a. I can't decide if I want to be promoted or fired. I think I might be leaning towards fired.
I'll have to text you my answer to that.
Mark's been trying to be fired for 20 years.
Oh, so. No, he's going to be here long after I'm gone. I told him, when Mark and I fight, I tell him I wish he lives until he's 200.
Yeah, but we both have the same wish in the long run, so we're golden.
Okay,
True.
Both of you. Back to the news, Nancy. This is coming in from Ride Apart. Weekend WTF. Are motorcycles legal during the lockdown? ? There's a patchwork of state laws that is about as clear as mud, although power sports dealers are now considered essential business. And you'll remember that we reported on this early in the week through the Motorcycle Industry Council's efforts with legislation that it is essential business by the federal government. Whether you can legally ride a motorcycle or not is about as clear as mud. Different states have different provisions in their stay-at-home and shelter-in-place orders, some of which contradict themselves. Go figure.
Yeah, I think somewhere in the universe, COVID actually means contradict. Confusion.
I think somewhere in the universe, the Latin translation for COVID is rectal cranial inversion.
Right.
Because the minute somebody says it, everyone sticks their head straight up their ass.
Yep.
So I think the long and short of it, Mark and I talked about this briefly before the show, is if you're hopping on your motorcycle to go get essential supplies at the grocery store, not a problem. If you're going for a 200-mile putt to grab lunch somewhere, they're kind of frowning upon that. However, I just happen to like the grocery store in Niagara Falls. So...
Hey, man, and listen, we're going to talk about this more throughout the show, too, but I'm telling you right now, here is a term that Rogue passed along time and time again to myself and the late Charlie Brechtel. Never trade security and freedom. You never give up your freedom to the government for security. You never do it. Take care of yourself, take care of your community, take care of your family. Do that shit on your own. Don't ask the government to do it for you, because you will rarely get any, if any, of those freedoms back.
So
you said a mouthful right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So while people here are questioning it and they're not sure and they're kind of doing it, over on the other side of the world, in India, on Saturday alone, the police seized 277 motorcycles for people violating the lockdown. So, I mean, a little bit of perspective of, yeah, maybe it's not quite as horrible here as it could be. I guess if you have to find the brighter side, I don't know.
Well, or the darker side.
Or the darker
Yeah.
side,
This
yeah.
shit's
Right.
heading your
Yep.
way just like COVID did.
Yep, yeah, yep, absolutely. So, yeah, 277 motorcycles in one day. No thanks.
Somebody wanted a motorcycle specifically so that it'd make it look good.
Right.
76 more of them.
Right.
Yeah, that's how you hide the theft of one important motorcycle, 267 others. Oh, Jesus.
And the superintendent of police has asked his officials to continue this practice until further notice.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could see somebody trying to take, like, I've been there when somebody said they were going to impound your bike. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
They did get a lesson in motorcycle rights that day, though.
That's what happened to that cop in Vegas. And listen, I'm going to say it again right here live in front of everyone. I was wrong. I had just I come down out of the mountains. It was hot in Vegas, and my old SU carburetor locked up, and I was in the middle of 5 lanes of traffic kicking a 49 panhead. After I got that thing started, I don't even know how fast I was going. I was literally trying to blow the motor up. I was so pissed. So when I passed him, I knew.
At like 112
I
miles
knew
an
that I
hour.
deserved a ticket. I knew it. But when he came up and he
On
was
the
like,
ticket.
when he came up and told me, I'm towing this motorcycle, I said, no, you're not towing this motorcycle. Well, he said he was hooking it. He was going to hook this motorcycle.
Well, and he was actually just more upset because on his new fancy dancy police equipped motorcycle, he couldn't catch up to a 49 panhead chopper. That's
boy.
why you got the ticket. All $900.
So what do we
of
got
it.
on social media tonight, Blondie?
Oh,
I see happy birthdays and,
yeah, they're all having a little party here
I
on
know.
social media. It's like they don't actually need us; they just need us to put the feet up. Let's see, Carrie, love and hugs. Meanwhile, in PA, we gathered 552 for birthday of 552 people for a birthday of a little 3-year-old boy, and our cops and first responders and stuff escorted it for us. Right on. That's so cool. Bill Stevens says in Michigan it is unlawful to ride, but he got in 100 miles today.
Good man, Bill. Good
Right
man.
on.
Down with the man.
Breaking the law.
No way for a man to hold us down.
Speaking of breaking the law, I see Tom Kiefer's name up there on social media.
Kiefer?
Tom, you did not answer me today. Kiefer just announced to the world, God, and everyone that he finally got his state inspection stickers in for motorcycles, and I asked him to send me 5 or 6 of them for me and you at Flat Broke. He
Yeah.
didn't even answer me, Mark. It's like,
He
That-
can't
damn
put that in
Kiefer.
writing. Come on, he knows better.
Yeah, he sure does.
When you
Come
get
on
that,
now.
when you get that unknown number, answer that. Come on. Well, anyway, we have people here from all over the world tonight: Brazil, Germany, Long Island, Minnesota, Arizona, California, New Hampshire, Ohio.
well, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is fueled and fired by Cycle Source Magazine, and while this is a partial side hustle, I got my own little gig going on right here. I want to tell you about this. Maybe this is my own PPE device. You'll notice the elastic band in the back with the nice clasps on it, so it's adjustable. It form fits your face almost perfectly,
The motorboat fit.
right? And the best thing is you can slide it up. It has a dual purpose. It's a grinding hat.
Oh, good Lord.
It's a part-time grinding hat.
Send help.
$19.95, cyclesource.com.
No.
Buy one, get some free stickers and a free subscription.
He's
That's
lying,
all I'm saying.
people. Do not listen to him. No. No. Ooh, Laconia, New Hampshire, Bruno. I lived there for 20 years. Right on.
Dig it. So,
Oklahoma. I feel like everything, I can correlate a song to everything tonight. It's terrible.
we do have a killer show coming up for you guys tonight. One more time, I want to thank everybody coming in from Choppertown, Cycle Source. This has become a great weekly experience for all 3 of us, more
Yes,
than
it
anything
has.
else, man. I mean, we get to get our groove on, and especially through the COVID thing, like, we're all
The only time I get to see you guys. Anymore.
right. I know. We're stuck in place, man. It's hard.
And we're only, 3 miles apart from each other?
Me and Fording today, we're talking. We're all going to start sending smoke signals up. So It's gonna be our new thing. I said I'll be able to see Chris's. Jeff's on the other hand, not going to be.
Mark, you never stop putting smoke signals up. I've been seeing.
That's besides the point.
Mark, actually, Mark, you know all those times where you said to him, "I don't want to see you for a month."
Right. See.
There you go.
Paying off.
Your prayers
wait.
have been answered.
You're just
Listen.
jealous.
I
'Cause
have
you can't get away with
I
it.
have one interest. I have one interest on social media right now for my new TPE. I'm calling this the TPE.
Oh boy.
One interest. He wants to know some more information. Though, does it smell like titties? No, this was brand new, but for an extra $9.95, I can hook a brother up.
He's just not going to tell you
We'll
that
put
they're
a few
his.
stories in there.
Teamsters Local 282 out of New York City. Dennis, what's up, baby? Keeping the faith right on. Bruno Capola, yep. R.I.P. Charlie. We were talking about at the beginning of the show. Absolutely killing me.
Oh, it makes me want to cry every time you say it.
So let's go back to the news for a minute. We do have a killer show coming up. There's.
Oh, Laura.
I'm moving on. Back to the news. This coming in from Adventure Rider. Ride the World. COVID-19 fallout hits AMA, Cycle Gear, Honda. Although there may be talk of the American economy rebooting soon, as millions are asking to be allowed to resume normal life despite the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the motorcycle industry is still seeing big changes at every level. The American Motorcycle Association has had to lay off staff and reduce others' hours as its normal event schedule has been disrupted by COVID-19. Without the help from the government, the AMA's nonprofit classification ruled it out of the federal Paycheck Protection Program. Boy, that's going to be a hard one for me to continue to go on with.
Well, then you don't have to.
Well, no, listen, I'm just going to preface that my sentiments about this is when you collect a race fee, sometimes 2 and 3 different race fees from every kid at every racetrack in every district across the country, every professional motorcycle race that goes on, you ought to have the money put back to put a few paychecks up until you get through this shit. That's bottom line how I feel about it. And listen, before you hate on me, I am a card-carrying AMA member. I pay some of those race fees. I go out and do this stuff too, but it just seems odd to me that like that much money coming in and the first thing you want to do is turn around to the federal government. Anybody?
I was going to change the subject.
Thanks for having my back, guys. Thanks a lot.
I was actually reading
I totally agree with
comments.
you 100%,
I'm sorry.
because in all reality, when it comes down to these kids and everybody putting all that money in, that money should be banked in the first place solely.
Yeah, don't they have to pay? It's not like one race fee. It's every class they race in, which sometimes it's multiple classes.
Yeah. Right.
It's a fee for every class.
And you have
Robbery.
families that have multiple people that race.
Well, not even robbery, man. I mean, to have an organization that's looking out for the rights and responsibilities of motorcycle riders and going to put on sanctioned races and hold all this shit together, there's a lot of responsibility there. I am not taking anything away from them in that aspect, but, you know, it's just with those rights and responsibilities in one direction, they come back in the other direction too.
Yes.
You got to take care of some folks.
In the interim, on a totally lighter note, somebody has stated that, Chris, you're too sexy for your hair.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Okay. And with that, you
And I just
pack
need
of
to say
bastards.
Robin's last name because it's so awesome. Her name is Higginbottom.
Higginbottom.
That's like a Harry Potter name. I love that last name.
No, that's like a Tim.
Lichtenstein.
That's like a Tim Conway name.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you going now, Mrs. Higginbottom?
That's Mrs. Wigglesworth. Anyway, Robin, you have a killer last name. Sorry. A little crazy.
All right, man, listen. So this is Crystal Cycle Source Magazine coming to you live from the Dennis Kirk Studios, bringing you another episode of Shop Talk. We're going to take like maybe a 2-and-2 break here. When we come back, we're going to get live with our first guest of the evening, Mr. Rod Woodruff from the Bufffalo Chip, and we're going to get straight to the source about some Sturgis answers. Stick around. We'll be right back with Shop Talk.
I joined the military straight out of high school because I felt like I really needed some direction in my life. And what I got out of it was a sense of purpose and, more importantly, to be part of a brotherhood. I started riding when I was 21 on sport bikes like most of us do when we're 21 years old. Quickly, I transitioned into love of a cruiser. My perfect ride would be with all my buddies with me, riding on the coast of the ocean. There's something amazing about having all your friends with you in the perfect scenery all at the same time. My bike is a 2015 Harley-Davidson Dyna Fat Bob. My favorite upgrades to it so far are my custom fairing and my 16-inch ape hanger handlebars. My name is Brandon LaBelle, and I'm a Dennis Kirk rider.
There we go. How about that?
Silly little button.
Yep. That's me. It was
I know.
all me.
I don't know. Do y'all hear me ask for pictures of your COVID masks? I've seen some pretty interesting ones.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yep, we hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
There
Okay,
you go.
awesome.
Okay.
So, welcome to the show. How you doing out there in South Dakota?
Have we got it working so you can hear me?
We do.
Yep, we can hear you now.
All right, well, that was good. That was good. Thank you. So, good evening.
So listen, man, I want to thank you just real quick on behalf of everybody from the show for taking time, because I know you guys have a mountain of information to manage and sort through right now. But while all these people were on social media talking about what's going to happen and who said what, I figured there was probably not too many people with more a closer finger to the pulse of what's happening than you.
Well, I can tell you that I've spent a couple of hundred phone calls. Everybody calls and asks that question, what's going to happen at Sturgis, right? And
Yeah.
For the Sturgis Rally, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And, everybody that calls wants, and everybody they know, I think, wants it to happen and are looking forward to come.
Now, what is the real eventuality from your perspective?
Oh, geez, in 25 words or less, that'd be short. I mean, she took a pretty good briefing of it when the show started this evening. And, it's everybody's guess, I guess, as to what's going to happen. The hard facts of it is just like was said. They said a number of times from the city that they were 100% behind the rally, and always kind of slipped in the fine print at the end of the thing that they'd know more in June without saying anything other than that they would know more. They have been working with the Department of Tourism about it, and as you could expect, the Department of Tourism wants the rally to happen just as much as the city does. I mean, the city really does want the rally to happen, but like I put on the video a couple days ago that we put up on the CHIP site, the city started getting people's expressions of concern, because having all these folks come just seems like inevitably it means that they're going to be bringing along a virus with them, and then everybody goes home and the virus stays and the local folks get sick. And so what the city did when they released what they called their protocols is they started off with that position that first and foremost is the health and welfare of the people around here, the local people, the residents, right? And then they spent the rest of the time explaining to everybody, probably, hopefully to the people that had the concerns expressed about the virus coming to town, because to date, Meade County's only had one case, and it was actually infected in Seattle and transferred here and recovered very promptly with almost no symptoms. But that's the only case in Meade County to date, right? Almost all the cases are in Sioux Falls, 370 miles east of here. And out of that, I mean, South Dakota has 2,212 cases that have been identified, and 1,800 of them, 1,895 or something like that, is in Sioux Falls, and the rest of them are in eastern South Dakota counties. And so the incidence here, there isn't any. So, you know, we go out today and we go to to some of the stores that are still open. You can travel around, go to the grocery store, go to the hardware store, go to, this or that store. And as we talk to the people around town, the business people absolutely want the rally to happen.
I can only imagine.
The balance of, one of the folks who formerly was on the city council, now on the board of the county commissioners board, he says, it's going to be a balance. There's a bunch of businesses here that aren't going to survive without rally income, and it's going to take a while to bring this back. So they pointed out how meaningful all of a sudden the rally is, and how much the city wants it. So I think the city legitimately has every intention of having the rally if they can, but they still have to consider the health and welfare of the residents. That was that one line right at the top. And I can give you an example of that, how that kind of works if you like. So I don't want to just ramble on forever.
No.
So
I'm trying to get as much information, but and to that point of what you're saying, I just want to ask for a point of clarity, because I just found out the other day that on average there's something in the neighborhood of 67% of the average Sturgis attendees come from Midwestern states. Is that something that you know to be true?
I don't know exactly the percentage, but 50.1% of the attendees that the city of Sturgis has identified comes from 9 states. They're not all Midwestern states, but certainly the neighboring states are on that list, along with Arizona, Colorado, California, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what their protocol is to look at what the infection rate is in those places. And if there's a number of people coming from places that have a high infection rate, that's going to play into their protocols.
Yeah. I just wondered if you had heard that things that go into their decision-making process come from the logistics of realistic, expected exposure, and, because through the Midwestern states categorically, there's less incidents. There's, it's more spread out population. There's less going on with that. And I mean, if that's where the rally is drawing good numbers from, then there's less of potential exposure for Sturgis than there would be for an East or West Coast rally.
Right.
Well, I think that there's a little sentiment in the Midwest that, if we'd had an epidemic in South Dakota or Montana or Wyoming instead of New York, nobody would have bothered shutting down the entire freaking country, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And, most of these, a good share, I guess, of all of this stuff going on with the virus is New York, New Jersey, that whole area. And so it's that kind of metropolitan area that had so much immigration from China, that sort of thing, that come in just about the time that this started, that spread that in those areas. And, as a result of that, they shut everybody down. So they're putting people out of business in South Dakota. There's, I call it a house arrest or martial law light. So we'll see how that happens, what happens, I guess, when the virus goes away. We continue to hear statements that kind of stretch it out, which is what kind of lowering that peak and spreading it out is all it's supposed to be about. So here's another consideration for you that that is that first line again on the city's protocols. And if you look at the governor's executive orders, and if you look at the state's website, the website finishes every page with a statement that the restrictions and the mitigation efforts must stay in force, or assuming that they will stay in force through August. So through August kind of includes us. And our governor, I think when she started doing her talking, we were going to be, I think, done with much of this at the end of April. Then that got extended to May. The conversation went into June. Then it went into July through August. And the other day there was a mention of this virus was still going to be with us in November. And so I think that first line again about the health and welfare, that's the example that I thought was kind of indicative. The race in out by the Sioux Falls area, eastern part of the state, just went on today without any audience, which at least that part was gracious, because a lot of us were in Daytona when on Friday morning the city just pulled the plug on everybody and told us to leave. The race went on television without an audience, even though they had done absolutely everything they could to comply with the CDC guidelines. And when push came to shove 3 days before their event, they were told they shouldn't be having people there, even though they made all these arrangements to keep everybody socially distanced throughout and so on. And so to me that was pretty discouraging, but I don't want to say discouraging for everything. There's a bunch of stuff that really is positive for the rally. Number one, the city really wants it, and maybe they have some political influence on the deal. Maybe there really is a balance, like the hotel owner fella had said, a balance between the economics that the city wants to have for not just the city, but for the whole state. It's hundreds of millions of dollars of tourist income that normally would be coming into this area, into this state because of the rally. I mean, it is the biggest event around, and I think tourism is the second largest, second only to agriculture for the economics of this state. It's the second largest industry. So it's real important for them to do that. And the Secretary of the Department of Tourism has been 100% behind it. And I know that he's working closely with the governor as well. So we can hope. There's a lot of new information coming all the time. As we watch the TV and watch the news, we see something new every day. And a lot of times it is pretty promising. And so as you look at the state charts again that I mentioned to you, that graph shows that by August, assuming again that all of the guidelines are followed up till then, by the time you get to August, there's almost no virus left, no COVID-19. So that's really encouraging. So I think the best thing is that the city really wants it badly. They're looking at all of these protocols to make that balancing thing, and then it's going to come down to a political vote. But the other thing is that the CDC guidelines is kind of where we're at. We were encouraged from the get-go here, and have not been discouraged at all from preparing for the rally. So we were told to go ahead and prepare our show, our event, and as I look at the CDC guidelines, it goes for enclosed areas, not campgrounds, not areas that are outside of town. So if Sturgis decides that they really can't have the rally in Sturgis, that really doesn't apply to places outside of Sturgis. And so we like to think that we'll still be able to proceed. And part of that is that I noticed that the state's campgrounds are booked, and they haven't changed those people. They haven't told those people not to come. And so I think that bodes well. So I really believe we're going to have a rally. And I really just never conceived that we would be in a position where our government could be telling us, what to do. I used to joke about, we're having a rally. The only way to prevent it is if they had the National Guard out here keeping people from getting in, and God, it's no longer funny, So
yeah, how truthful it is. Yeah.
But we're planning to move ahead. Nobody has told us anything differently. We've been encouraged for this whole thing, and I'm really pleased to see the protocols that the city put out, because it was so pro-rally in my mind that I think it's pretty powerful.
Well, and here's one of the things I want to go back to what you said for a minute, that at the top of that line was, the governor's responsibility to provide for the health and welfare. That's a two-sided coin. And while I am certainly not going to make light of this virus, I'm not going to make light of the impact on our country's economy or humanitarian concerns. But the other half of the health part is the welfare. And I say this on your behalf. I say this on your behalf and other business owners and property owners in town. By June 15th, they're really, really asking a lot of you guys, because even to get an event the size of Sturgis together in half-ass capacity, there's
logistics,
the logistics are crazy, man. The kind of money that you would have to hedge your bet with, just in case you got to do it, that might be all up for loss, and if the plug got pulled, that's a big risk. It really is. It's a lot to ask.
The politicians don't really understand that, and then that's one of those things that goes into balancing. I mean, we've had contracts out for this rally for over a year, and so there'd be no way. And so what it comes down to, again, is it's going to be that balance. You're right. All of the loss of economics and the consequences of that are going to be serious, no question about it. The printing money by the federal government and just sending it out to people to try and ameliorate that is got to quit at some point in time, and it'll quit probably before August. And so there will be some government pressure itself to get something working again. South Dakota is dependent upon the sales tax. There's no income tax. And the governor doesn't get the report, she said, on what the impact for the virus has been until June. So her April report don't come in until June. And she might very well find that they're down maybe to 20% or less than what they normally would have. And at some point, maybe the government might find itself in a position where they have to start laying off people as well, because the state can't print money, only the feds. So,
everybody is talking about the new normals, and this is something I have to ask you, because when was it that you started with Bufffalo, Chip, when you started the campground?
81 was the idea. 82 was our first event.
Okay, so let's get in the mindset here that Sturgis is going to happen, and it happens late enough that it may need to be a modified event. That it's not going to look exactly like maybe the 75th or the 70th or, you know, any of the numbers leading up to that. But let's go back through your experience and pretend that it's 1982. I would almost bet that there's no chance that we're going back that far.
No.
No.
We're not going back that far. You know, I think about it in 2007 and 2008, we were having this great recession, right? And, you know, and I was thinking today about all the money that the government has sent out to people just to kind of make up for the lost income from their jobs. And I've talked to a number of people who got unemployment around here. And, geez, they got $400 a week coming from the state government, $600 a week coming from the federal government, a $1,200 check. And there's quite a number of people in this area anyway that, I mean, that's more money than they were making. And
Right.
we actually tried to hire some people to come out. We're still getting ready for the rally. We're still building crap, and we could have used extra help a couple of weeks ago. And we were told straight out, couldn't afford to come to work for us because they were making too much money on the unemployment.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's a
crazy.
problem across the country right now.
Actually,
Well, you know, I can't talk to other people. I just have that one single experience and then several conversations. So but you know, getting back to 2007 and 8, you know, we had a number of people here. The economy was going to hell, that kind of stuff, and it was all bad news sort of thing. And we had people here saying, hey, we come to the rally because it's less expensive here than it was staying home, right? And we may find some of that again this year, only, you know, these guys got money from the government. They weren't getting that kind of money from the government in 2007, 2008. So I can, like I said, I can just tell you that, you know, the Sturgis Rally needs to go ahead. I mean, a lot of the people, almost all the people I've talked with on the phone are business people in the industry. And some of them great big businesses and some of them not such big businesses. They all want to know the same thing you're asking. You know, is this going to happen or not? And one of our conversations Friday with, you know, very substantial business that has had a, you know, long bit of touch in here and bikers as well. He said, you know, I can tell you one thing, the entire industry, that everybody in the business is looking to you guys to save the whole industry. So that Sturgis Rally has to happen.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
You know, so there we go. I mean, it's almost like a responsibility, but you know, it's the uncertainties that the government has thrown in for everybody. We just love everybody that says, hey, we're coming. And, you know, if the city of Sturgis says no, I think most people are going to come anyway.
I think so.
You know, some of them are going to just want to stay home. You take a look at the polls. 70% of them just think that they ought to continue with the stay-at-home orders, the, you know, house arrest kind of thing. But, you know, the people that, I mean, these are bikers that we're talking about. We're not talking about that 70%. We're talking about freedom-loving people wanting to get out on the road.
Amen, baby.
If fewer people come, there's going to be less traffic on the roads in the in the hills, and a lot of people just kind of like that idea.
Well, you know, we talked about this the other day too. The fact that, like, for a lot of us who ride motorcycles back and forth across the country, South Dakota is really where the West starts for us. That's where it starts feeling like the West and looking like the West, and there's celebration of the westward culture. And this is kind of reflective of the, I mean, think about how many obstacles and how many things were against the early pioneers that were doing that westward expansion. And they had no idea what they were going to face when they got to their destination. And they still went. They still went for the promise of a better future, for a chance at a life. They still went, you know, and I think this motorcycle culture, Charlie's motorcyclism, it plays along to that same sentiment.
I agree with you. So
right on.
It's going to be another chapter, an interesting chapter in this country's history.
We do have a couple questions if we
Yeah.
can take a minute. A couple people are asking, like, they're excited, they're coming to Sturgis no matter what, but they're curious is if it's been talked about what changes may be made. Like, will you have to change the capacity of the concerts? Have any of your concerts canceled? And these are just a few of the many questions that are coming in.
People are concerned about the concerts, and we've had no cancellations anywhere.
Heck yeah.
We had some calls from people in Australia, New Zealand, France, and Germany saying, geez, your president won't let us into the country, so what are we going to do? And we just tell people if the government's keeping us from having the event or keeping them from attending, we're just going to roll them over to the next year and have that party there. I think, again, if things get better, and I first did the interview with Forbes magazine in March 16th about this. I said, we're moving ahead because we're expecting that this thing is going to be resolved before August comes around, before the rally is scheduled for, and that we'll be able to have a safe environment, right? So the answer to your question about otherwise is that, so we didn't have a big order for hand sanitizer in previous years, and this year is going to be different. May there be people around here wearing masks, most likely, and so are we going to have to be socially distancing? Most likely, it looks like to me. So, but all that changes. And then, what is the definition for social distancing? If you listen to somebody that say it's all of a sudden 23 feet or something, somebody else in the CDC guidelines just gives an example of, I think, 6 feet, and then it got kind of accepted as a necessity. So it's going to be pretty tough for the businesses to function and the party to be the same if people have to stay 6 feet apart. And that just the last thing I think that the governments are going to allow to go back into business are the sports, the big sports shows and concerts. And so we've not been told anything by anybody yet at this point in time. And like I said, we're outside the city limits, and we got 600 acres here, so we can spread people out. People can camp more than 6 feet apart.
And everybody's going to get a complimentary mask,
and so
right?
on. And we're just we're going to do everything that we can. We got the bike shows, we got the motorcycles as art that is going. We verified that that's going to all this stuff that we're doing. Everything is still on for right now, right? And when something changes, we'll be making announcements of it right away. But, I just read the news and listen to the news like you do every day. And every
Drives
day
you nuts,
it's
right?
not as good as I want, but it's a little better every day.
So listen, I super appreciate you coming on. I've wondered for a long time how you've managed over decades to navigate through the ups and downs, and the Bufffalo chip just so resilient, back every year stronger and better than before. And now I see right on the desk in front of you is the crystal ball. That's where it happens, right there. I knew it.
It helps.
I knew you had an inside line. I knew it.
Yeah, we put that on my desk a couple of weeks ago because it just seemed like everybody wanted to know the answer, and we don't have it for sure. So the crystal ball is a little foggy, but it's a source of amusement for sure.
Right on. And listen, on a closing note, and a sad one for the purpose of our show today, we've been talking about Charlie Brechtel and his passing. And I know Charlie enjoyed a residency at your place and was a familiar face for everybody that came there. It's got to be hard for the Chip family.
Spent half the day talking to people that were crying uncontrollably. I'm not just sure. I remember how Charlie came into my life, and it's almost 20 years ago. And, a more positive spirit never existed. Motorcycling or motorcyclism, no better champion than Charlie. Same with blues music. I mean, he's a dedicated musician. His life story, I'm thinking, he just finished the second movie, and I know that that's going to proceed. And we had a number of new plans again for this year, and I'm not just sure what we'll do to be adjusting to that. But I think maybe the third movie maybe should be about Charlie's life, because he had a
Absolutely.
hell of an exciting life that was always so positive. He touched so many people's lives. And, you know, the contacts that he made coming out here to the chip, he met the Russians here, he met the, you know, folks from Thailand here, and went on and on to become a worldwide known figure and musician.
Ambassador.
And he represented America, the American music, the blues music, right? And he loved every minute of it. I was talking with him on the phone here a few days ago, and he had this new inspiration, and he wrote a new Bufffalo Chip song, you know, right there where we were talking. I think, you know, I'm sure it didn't get to the studio in time, but you know, he's just such a positive person.
Yeah.
The whole
Class act.
world has lost more than it knows. You know, it's a tragedy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rod Woodruff, owner, operator, chief man in charge of the Bufffalo Chip Campground Sturgis, giving us the inside skinny. Rod, thank you so much for coming in here tonight. Hopefully this isn't going to last long enough for us to have you back on to give us some more information, but in the case that there is, we will come straight back and get the word from the top.
Well, it's the crystal ball talking, right? So we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Okay, man. Thank
Keep
you
it
so
up.
much. Oh, fantastic to be able to reach out to someone like this, man, and get information like that, and you know, not
direct
the,
information
yeah,
too. I mean, you're getting it right from the source.
Not the what ifs, not the he said, she said. You know, this is somebody whose life and time depends on what they're doing. And listen, we're a little bit behind, so I think with that we're going to go straight to our next guest. I'm going to bring him on here as I'm talking to you guys. But remember, keep in touch with Bufffalo Chip and all the rest of these people that are bringing out the information from their direct governments. Let them know, you know, the questions that you have. You passed a bunch of them along here, but you can go right to the Bufffalo Chip's website, hit up their emails, hit up their social media, and take your concerns straight to them. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you.
I would like to say that I think regardless of whether the 80th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally happens or not, that you and I will be in Sturgis.
Mr. Jansen,
Regardless.
are you with us there?
Hold on. Is that hand sanitizer or
Oh God, Mark.
what is that hand? Oh, are we putting our social distancing face masks on?
Hey guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pat Jansen. How's it going over there,
Hey.
buddy?
Oh, you know, Iowa's beautiful. We don't have a problem with social distancing in Iowa. There's only like 2 million people in the whole friggin' state.
So Pat Jansen, Sin Central, you know, we've been on the road a ton over the last 3 or 4 years with Pat. And when we got together with the Cyber Rally idea,
We
It
miss
was-
you, Pat.
it was brought to our attention that we were illegitimate unless we had a 501c3 behind us, because we were going to be collecting money for some of our bartenders and barmaid friends and, you know, people from the industry. And man, like,
Musicians.
it takes forever. It takes forever to get that kind of paperwork together. And we had no idea what we were going to do. At the last minute, Pat Jansen steps up with his Sin Central nonprofit organization and backs us up on this. And dude, I wanted to have you on just to talk about that, because this is not something you just came up with overnight. I want you to give a little bit of backstory about what Sin Central is and the mission that you have there.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it, Chris, and I appreciate you asking us to help out, because I mean that is why we exist. And man, there's so many people hurting right now. I feel badly because this hasn't really affected me a lot. My house is 300 feet from my shop. You know, it hadn't really affected my work a whole lot. But I know there's a lot of people that are hurting. So anything we can do to help. Yeah. Sin Central was a thing, man. A lot of folks don't know. I went to school for a long time. I appear stupid, and because I have a Southern accent, most people just assume I'm stupid. But
Then there's those that know you. That's a whole
and you know I'm stupid.
Right.
So, but now I went to school for a long time. I strongly didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I got a master's degree in theological studies very early on, and got ordained through the United Methodist Church in North Georgia, the conference there. was in ministry for a long time. And, obviously, if you know me, the church and I, we didn't gel all the time. So we decided that we would part ways. I still have my ordination through the Methodist Church. I haven't taken that from me. But I just have always had a passion for mission, and but also for motorcycles and hot rods. So been building motorcycles and hot rods forever. Wanted to be able to also incorporate helping other people. So Sin Central Incorporated just became, I did a 501c3 nonprofit. We're registered with the federal government as a church, as a Christian organization. And so everything that I do, nobody really knows this, everything I do, whether it's a motorcycle or a hot rod or MC work or anything I've done, anytime I get money, that money just goes straight to Sin Central Incorporated, goes straight to the nonprofit. And I don't really take any of that to do anything personally with. And then we invest that in work that we see important. We've done a lot of work with schools in Honduras, down in the Baja Peninsula in Mexico, working in orphanages all the way down to Vicente Guerrero. And then, when we were in Atlanta, we did a lot of work in the city with after school programs. Here in Iowa, since I've been here 5 years, we've engaged with an organization called JAPA. I was out with them. I go out with them with some folks every Sunday, and we take food to homeless people, and we try to help them rebuild their lives, connect them to resources. They can do that, build relationships with them. So, that's what Sin Central's about. We want to use motorcycles and hot rods in order to kind of make a difference.
And I just want to talk about that for a minute, because people who know you from the motorcycle rally scene and have seen you out at the IMS shows and stuff, and seen your wild ass do the Pat Jansen show, they might not understand what a serious personal relationship you have with your God and your religion and your community and the charitable nature that's inside you. I've witnessed it firsthand. I mean, the work that you do with your community, I'm constantly catching you in the middle of driving to or from a food drive, or taking somebody somewhere, or delivering some goods. And I've firsthand experienced you over the phone one time praying with your family. And dude, it was one of the heaviest things. Like, I directly relate this to the one time that Jim Red Cloud's grandfather said a prayer over me. I literally felt like that man was talking to God. I mean, like, literally was talking to God. And that's the kind of strength and energy I get from when I listen to you do your thing. And I think it's amazing that you have all of that inside you. And then, we see you out buck wild and fancy free at the motorcycle thing at the same time.
Well, that's the cool thing about Pat, though, because to know Pat at the events, you just see him for what he is, which, like you said, psychobilly going on off the edge. But once you get to know Pat, his heart's so big that he's always there to, pick you up, to just be a good friend. I mean, love him to death. I like to kill him half the time, but I love him to death.
I can't believe he's saying. I used to have to keep you guys apart.
I struggled with a lot of that early on in my life. I mean, I wanted to take credit for everything I did. I wanted credit for everything, and it broke me, trying to take credit. So, I try not, this is obviously a very rare thing for me to talk about publicly. It kind of holds the work back in some ways with Sin Central, but I don't want it to ever be about me. And I mean, I appreciate the kind words, but I'm just, I want to serve, and from Genesis to Revelation, even back into the maps, I see the will of God being that the needs of others would be more important than our own. Mm-hmm. So at Sin Central, our tagline is resurrecting hot rods, Harleys, and Hellions. And, there's no reason we can't raise hell. Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. And, and his mother asked him to do that. So they came from a good, long drinking family. They say they were Jewish, but I think they might have been Irish.
Questionably, yeah.
Oh, my God. 3 priests, both Catholic and Methodist, just hit the floor right there in that one statement.
No, I appreciate you guys letting us participate. It's always good. And you guys do it, you know what it's like. I mean, you guys do a great job of helping people all the time without taking the credit. And it's, excuse me, and that, I think that level of humility is important. And I think it's something that we don't get all the time. And so, I love raising hell, but
what we did find out through that whole thing was that during the cyber rally that you were there to help, and Sin Central was really going at it, but apparently your computer skills sucked.
That was the devil.
Couldn't get shit on.
Listen, the devil.
Not to have you on that with us.
The devil was in that computer.
I've received so much shit about that too. Trust me. Everybody. I mean, I bet. I thought people had forgotten about me, because when you're not out there, people don't ever think about you. I don't think, but man, everybody was. I got literally hundreds of people that have sent me texts and messages busting my balls about being just an old fart that doesn't know how to use his computer. But I just keep blaming it on Heather. So
you can't blame me.
No, but listen,
I'm the one that tried fixing yours.
I'm sorry that I missed it though. That was I was there with you guys all day though, because I had my grandson over here. And I know it's odd that I would have a grandson as young as I am, but I had him over here, and we just sat around all day and in and out of that thing. Man, that had to be successful. How many people did you have watch that?
Well over in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And that was, I just looked the next day.
Yeah, and
once my rally hangover wore off, it was into the
Just from two channels,
400,000?
there was over 250,000.
And that was coming off air.
Still haven't done the complete aggregate of it, man. Because the days leading up to that show, we added like 3 or 4 more networks on where people were like, "Look, just post everything live to us too," and it started moving so fast. And listen, I want to say while we're on here too, because you had some problems, we had some problems with a few people. The schedule got wildly out of control. If I have not yet called personally and apologize to you if you got left off of the show, I'm so sorry. I've been trying to make one at a time. I've been trying to make direct phone calls to people to apologize for that, because I had so many good people that reached out, and this was like, we really didn't, put a big banner out there saying, rah, 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 come join the cyber rally. Mostly it was people calling us and sending us emails. How can we get involved? But I did call a few of my friends, and a couple of them got hung up in the schedule melee, and I'm so sorry for you guys. So we do have something that we're gonna try to make up for that, and Heather's actually gonna make an announcement here tonight while we have Pat on the line.
All right.
So I'm super excited about this one, because actually this time I had an idea, which I have to say, I thought Chris was gonna kill me when I said, "Hey, so what do you think about this?" I'm like, how does it feel? So anyway, we're all stuck at home, and everybody seemed to really dig the cyber rally, showing their motorcycles and just hanging out and coming together as a community again. So on a smaller scale, we are going to be doing bike night every Thursday night with Mr. Pat Jansen as our host. We're going to be doing just a cool hangout. We're going to invite a couple, 5 or 6 guys to show their bike, hang out with us, hopefully bring us a drink or two. Maybe some good music, some motorcycle trivia, some giveaway stuff, and whatever Pat wants to do.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm a little intimidated. Man, you guys for the cyber rally, you pulled jack shit out. That he's like, I'm not worthy. I mean, that guy he's the king, right? I mean, he's the original.
You guys are both badasses.
But I'm super honored that you've asked me to participate in that. I'm excited about it. I've been thinking about a bunch of cool stuff we can do.
Can you teach us how to make some good drinks?
Come in here with me from my area and sit in with me some. But I'm excited, and I'm really looking forward to seeing bikes around the country. I didn't realize how much I missed. I take for granted, being able to go to events all the time and just wander around and see the newest, coolest shit that people have built and stuff, and all the cool paint jobs and just all the innovation that's happening, and not being able to see it. It's been hard so far this spring. I mean, it's been really difficult. So I'm looking forward to seeing some cool bikes.
I'm hoping, Pat, that we get a couple like we did in the cyber rally. We had bikes shown in Germany and Spain and Australia Brazil, New Zealand. So we're hoping to get people from all over the world to tell us what their bike nights are like and what their favorite riding is and whatever else you can get out of them.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be neat. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a great opportunity for all of us to be able to still kind of come together as a community, and we're still going to be raising money through that. Where the donate button still going to be there, so that we can continue to help people that are struggling through all this. You know, I experienced with my own daughter. You know, she moved to Iowa. Everybody's making a big deal about all the money people are getting. They're getting so much money, they're not going to go back to work, blah, 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 on unemployment. Well, you know, that's just not true for a lot of people. My daughter moved here in October to establish residency so she could get her master's degree at University of Iowa. And she hasn't lived here long enough to apply for unemployment. She lost her job as a result of the pandemic. And so they said you have to apply in Florida, where she had lived and worked for 4 years. She calls down there and they said, yeah, you can get it here, but you've got to be able to come into our office and show that you've applied for 5 jobs in Florida. You know, she's living in Iowa. So there's still a lot of people. Now, she's not a motorcycle industry, but there's still a lot of people out there that are hurt, that aren't able to take advantage of all this stuff. A lot, you know, the small businesses that you know, are just trying to keep their lights on until all this is over. So we're going to still be able to raise money for that. I'm excited about that.
You know, and this was another thing, and I didn't expect this. When we got done with Cyber Rally, it was the whole next week where we took messages through the email and through the phone and through social media where people thanked us for something that was close to a normal day. You know, like that we actually did something to affect our community in that way. That was one of the proudest days of my life, that we gave people a break for a day.
And they want us to do it again.
No.
Like,
yeah, that's a big thing. They've been asking for it again, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yep. And so I'm going to throw Chris under the bus right now. We are going to do a full-on cyber rally again.
Once a year.
It will be an annual event.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll change charities each time, because hopefully all of our rally workers will be back to work. But yeah, once a year we're going to do a cyber rally, probably in the dead of winter. But stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pat
and
Jansen.
on the bike nights and stuff, so that people get excited. Heather told me, and I don't know what we're giving away, but we're going to be doing. It's just going to be like a bike night too. We're doing giveaways, and we're having musicians.
Dude,
come
do you
in.
know what
We'll
we
do,
talked about
4 or 5,
today?
sounds like 4 or 5 sets of music and all kinds of stuff.
We're gonna have some of the well-known bike bars come on and give us recipes. Like, they're actually, like, today's show does cooking segments with prominent New York restaurants. We're gonna have bike bars come on and teach us the best chicken wings, the best, you know, bar top pizza and shit like that. Just like it would be at bike night, you know. When they'll go through it.
And it's great because, you know, I'm going to be able to drink while I'm doing it.
Right.
And so it'll be just like when Pat Patterson and when I did the first Grease Gears Garage with you. So it's gonna be super.
We're still getting yelled at for that, by the way.
I don't know.
Heather still bitches about that
It
bottle
was
of Jack.
a $270
Well,
bottle of Sailor Jerry.
It was Sailor Jerry's, wasn't it?
Sailor Jerry's, that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a $280 bottle or something of Sailor Jerry's.
Turns out when you buy an entire bottle of Sailor Jerry's at a rally bar, they still charge you per shot.
And that bottle didn't last real long either.
Which
It,
is
like,
why
disappeared
I've
pretty
started
fast.
my own
It was a little bottle, Mark.
Which is why I started my own cottage industry.
For Pat Patterson, that's an airplane bottle.
Right?
All right, man. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pat Jansen, Sin Central. You can catch him next Thursday night for the Cyber Bike Night kickoffs.
Night.
This Thursday night. Yeah. Yep.
Woohoo! April 30th.
Right on. And
all right. Well, thanks guys for having me,
dude,
and love you guys a lot. Take care, everybody.
Love you too, brother.
Love you, Pat.
Love to your beautiful woman, and thank you again
Pat.
for helping us out.
Kiss the grandbaby for
Good
me.
seeing you, Mark.
See you too, Pat.
Right on, man. So lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff.
I'm super excited about a bike night.
Mark's back. Oh my God.
I've never really left.
I feel so bad because when I have other guests on, I can't have Mark on at the same time, or it goofs up the cameras. I know.
It's always like that when you're the third wheel. You know how it is. Well, fourth wheel now, but you know, I'm not holding any grudges.
Who's
It's
counting?
okay.
Who's counting? Right?
I
Mrs. a
quit
Wiggle
counting
Bottom.
years ago.
All right, so we have one more guest to get to tonight, and before we do that, just like I always say, this is a partially publicly funded event that we have here every Sunday night. through our sponsors, people like Dennis Kirk, whose studio we're in, bringing you Shop Talk every Sunday night. All the people you see up in the top corner of this have signed on in one way or another, helping us out to bring the show to you every week. You can do your part simply by clicking the share button, clicking the follow button so that you know when we go live. You can also support anybody that you see up there, including the folks from Chopper Town. And I'm going to take this opportunity to take a real quick break from the show and show you guys some of the content that you can expect to see when you go over to Chopper Town and check out the other stuff that they do other than Shop Talk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
There are very, very few sports in the world where you have a team participating to make the machine go. In sidecar racing, you need that passenger. That passenger has to be in the right position to balance the machine, or the motorcycle's not going to get through the corner. And they're very unique because they really aren't a motorcycle. They're based on a motorcycle, but they really aren't a car either. They kind of have a mind of their own. You throw them at the corner, you get them sideways, and you throttle steer them like you do a car. You have to transfer your weight in order to keep them on their three wheels. Very thrilling to watch, because that passenger is just hanging on by his hands.
And we're back.
And we're back.
You're killing me, Whitey.
Hey, you have to give me the cue. Anyway, enough. So our next guest, I love having him on. He's always such a great conversation. Is Patrick Garvin from J&P Cycles. He's also a resident of Sturgis. And again, he's a good conversation. He's funny.
Always.
He's smart. He knows about motorcycles. And most importantly, not only does he work for J&P Cycles, but he rides year-round in Sturgis, South Dakota. He loves nothing more than motorcycling. So I'm super happy to have Patrick Garvin with us tonight.
Patrick, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, I really appreciate the kind words there.
No,
it's true.
You're one of our favorites out there because you're a lifer. I'm working on the editorial for next month, and it's living it versus learning it. And I think about guys like you, and obviously what spawned this most presently is the passing of Charlie Brechtel. But I think of guys like you that are out there, man, just like you're crazy for motorcycles. No matter what part of it you're doing, you're nuts for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. He really lived it. I mean, it sounds kind of cliche and kind of like, I don't know if it's lame, but I just like motorcycles, man. I just like to ride motorcycles. I ride as much as I can. I mean, we've had typical spring weather here in Sturgis with, I think we had over the past month, 3 or 4 rounds of 7 inches of snow followed by 65-degree days. So I've still been riding. I think I have, I put about 500 miles on that new Challenger, and then I bought a little Husky of my own. I got about 500 on that. So a couple other bikes. I think I have just under 2,000 miles on this month, buzzing around out here.
So we just made the announcement of Thursday night bike nights, and you're going to be one of our first features for this Thursday. You're actually going to tell us about that Indian Challenger test ride that you've been engaged in. And all you guys out there can mark your calendars for this Thursday. Did you guys announce a time yet?
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern, and we're going to get started with bike nights. It'll go on for an hour and a half, and we're just going to do bike shit. Bike guys getting together doing bike shit with bike girls. And
it's going to be relaxed, chill. Right. Bring your favorite beverage. Bring me one too. But
most importantly, tonight we want to reach out to you because there's so much controversy going on online back and forth about, Sturgis yes, Sturgis no, the locals versus the traveling horde, and we wanted somebody that was dead in the middle of it, and tonight we also talked to Woody, and Woody gave us some great perspective because obviously with business that size, he's directly involved with the governor and the state and the local municipalities. But we also wanted somebody from the street level because as much as you're part of a big company, you really are street level. I mean, you live right in the neighborhood there. You're hands-on. You're face-to-face with the local people.
I mean, Woody is everything he said. First of all, I want to say everything he said, I 100% agree with. He's a great wealth of information. I talk to him as much as I can out here. And I'm more than happy to give my opinion. And what do they say? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one and they normally stink. So you take mine for what it's worth. But one thing I will say is that I'm actually kind of been taken aback by a large number of the kind of motorcycle community that has had such a kind of a negative outlook on Sturgis. And maybe I'm not necessarily Mr. Positivity, but I've through this whole thing, I have had nothing but like, why wouldn't you want to put the positive vibe out there? Why would you want to say anything like, oh, it's not going to happen, or it's probably not going to happen, especially when you probably have no clue. I mean, people that are out here like myself, like Woody, I mean, I can tell you, I've had some unofficial conversations with people from the city, or as you know, my wife, has a museum here and she deals with the city, and, they're 100% going to do anything it takes to put this rally on. I think short of some sort of federal, intervention, it would go forward. They may have to put some, specific rules in place or things like that. But then again, I don't know how you would enforce some of this stuff. Let's say they say, okay, you can only have, so many campers per square feet. What is there going to be 700 state patrolmen at the campgrounds, making sure everybody stays apart from each other?
Well, let's be serious. At times, there's already 700 state patrolmen at the campgrounds, and they can't
right,
keep
exactly.
us. They can't keep us from littering now. So,
So I mean, I wish people would be a little more positive about it. I mean, a simple Google search will tell you that the state gets about $800 million brought into it by the Sturgis Rally. The state as a whole, $800 million. So why wouldn't they want anything more than for this to go off and be doing everything they can?
And you know what kills me about that? Let's talk about that number for a minute, because I saw some guys on social media this week that were talking about that number, and they were like, it was reported that there's $800 million spent in Sturgis, and then do the math on this. The city says they only made $1 million of that, and it's like, yeah, that they only made $1 million. Like, are you digging that? Like, first of all, it's a lesson in macroeconomics. You know what I mean? Like, you are not going to keep everything that comes through the door. There's bills to pay. There's plenty of people standing in line. It's a very big group effort to pull off an event at the magnitude of Sturgis. But then beyond that, man, I mean, like, yes, this is why they're willing to incur the impact on the ecology and the infrastructure and everything else. It's literally about making money. These people don't. It's not like they have a big draw in the middle. I mean, yeah, this is where Crazy Horse and Rushmore and these beautiful things are, but that's not the kind of all in economic impact that a Sturgis Rally has.
Right, and it's a statewide thing. I mean, people come all the way across the state. You're coming from all over the place. There's gas stations selling gas, and there's restaurants selling food, and people selling T-shirts on the way here. I mean, everybody's seen it riding here. So it is a statewide impact. And for anybody at this point, even experts, to kind of weigh in and say what things are going to be like at the end of July, beginning of August, the fact is nobody knows, and a lot could change between now and then. I'm hopeful and positive that it's going to change for the better. Warmer weather's coming. People are going to be out and about. Of course, we don't want to. Nobody wants anybody to die from anything. But I mean, again, so a simple Google search to the CDC website, as of April 24th, 54,000 people have died from pneumonia since the 2nd of January.
Right.
There's no ticker on that. So I don't want anybody to die. Nobody from the state wants anybody to die. This is a very communicable disease, obviously, but a little perspective goes a long way.
So tell us about your friends and neighbors. Tell us about the word on the street, though.
So it's business as usual. I mean, it's kind of funny. Pat Jansen said 2 million people in Iowa, which I'm a homegrown Iowa boy, and we have 800,000 people in this state. That's statewide. Yeah. So
that's the population of
for
South
me,
Dakota.
it's a business. I see like, in the wintertime, I see like 3-4 people a day, maybe. You know what I mean? I get up in the morning, I go get my coffee. I see the guy I work with, go to the gas station, go home. There have been the restaurants and bars shut down, doing carry-out only here in Sturgis and Rapid City and Spearfish. My understanding is Spearfish and Rapid are going to be opening up bars and restaurants, I believe, May 1st. My wife is working with the city. They're going to be opening up the Sturgis Motorcycle Museum also on May 1st. I think they're going to have restrictions on the museum and on the bars and restaurants on how many people you can have in at a time. Of course, they're going to adhere to those standards, but things are going to be opening up here. Today, I was up working at the shop, and I'm not exaggerating when I say 70 bikes went by the shop today.
Yeah.
And that's so odd for us because where we live, there's 12.9 million people just in our county.
Yeah.
And it's so odd. Like you're saying, there's 800,000, in that area. Pat was saying 2 million in Iowa. There's 39 million people, 39.8 million people in Pennsylvania alone. I think.
When this was the point I was trying to get to in roundabout fashion with Woody earlier. I forget who I got the number off of, but it was somebody that was of prominent Sturgis nature as far as the rally goes, and they told me that around 67% of the average Sturgis Rally population comes from Midwestern states, and just logistically, there's a lower occurrence of this virus throughout those states because of what we just said: population expansion, everything else. So I would wager that a Sturgis rally is a much safer proposition than some of the other rallies that are right down the street.
You can understand them bringing all the people in. Does raise the factor of possibly something happening.
Sure.
Which you can understand their concern there.
Yeah, that's the concern, is they're going to have somebody bringing them somewhere else. But I go back to man, who knows? This could be, I'm being positive, but it could very well be much worse by August. I don't know how that could be. It's pretty bad now, but it could be much worse, and we just don't know. To a certain point, things have to play out. And I said that to say this: the city, they know this, and they have to prepare for people coming anyway, because we know that diehards are coming one way or the other. It could be the zombie apocalypse. Dudes are bringing their tent on their chopper and they're showing up. Yeah. You know what I mean? So on some level, whether, it's kind of funny, it would, if they did officially cancel it, people are still coming. It would kind of show who really owns the rally, and who owns the rally are the people that come to the rally, are the bikers. Right. So the city's going to have a little bit, and they know this, they're going to have at least some sort of infrastructure in place. They're going to have increased police presence and trash pickup and things like that, because we all know this. We've been around too long. Bikers are coming.
This is the year, Patrick. This is the year that we burn a shithouse in effigy.
I'll light it up. Hey, I'll light it with my back tire. Let's do it.
How many people are actually saying this is the year that everybody goes back and takes
back
the
City
town
Park
of Sturgis and camps in Sturgis again this year? I've heard that multiple times.
You know what though? I got
a big yard.
Listen, I'm one of these guys too. By the time I pay my vendor fee and this fee and that fee and maybe pick up a ticket here and there, I'm usually half pissed off at the city too. But I want you to, I have my perspective adjusted about this not too long ago. Remember when you were a kid and it was your turn to have the party at your house? And for the next month, 3 or 4 guys talked about what a dickhead you were because they put their muddy feet on your parents' sofa and they burnt one of the drapes and you threw them out of the house and you got to be the dickhead for that. You know what I mean? Well, the city of Sturgis gets to be the dickhead for everything we do. Oh.
Yeah. That's a very good analogy, and they do. And I think they're, they definitely want it to happen. I think they're going to be prepared. And our state government, and a lot of us out here in the West, us in Wyoming, Utah, a couple of them, they're very good as far as not stepping on civil liberties. And I think they're going to do everything they can short of, harming somebody to give us the freedom to do what we want to do. And I really appreciate that.
Right on, man.
I think also based, the way I put the statement that the city of Sturgis made yesterday is they're proceeding with cautious optimism. They're very optimistic. They know that their community needs this rally. It's not just a want, it's a need. Too many people in that community rely on this, but they also know that they have to make sure that they keep everybody healthy too. So I think proceeding with cautious optimism is the only way to go.
Way off script there, Blondie.
That was almost a bleep.
I know. Yeah. Oof. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's all they can do. And to go back to where I kind of started, man, I wish there was a little more. I know it's tough right now. I wish there was a little more positivity when it comes to these things. Let's plan for the best case scenario. I know they said plan for the worst case scenario, but let's at least put the vibe out and be as positive we can about this thing happening.
Oh, Chris and I will be there no matter what. I think
we're kind of turning the corner.
Yeah, we're coming.
We're coming no matter what. So Like that's
We're
it.
spending way too much
Hey,
time
I
in the
mean,
house
if
together.
if it's a light rally, I mean, it's going to be clear roads to ride.
Right?
Oh,
We can get down.
I've said that before too. It's going to be so nice to drive out of this year if it's low. I mean, just the no traffic, the easy access, then to be able to get on the bike and ride is going to be definitely worth coming anyway. So, yeah, I got a weird feeling you're going to see the usual people there no matter what.
Oh, I expect it. I hope so.
Well, Patrick, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. You're going to be with us this Thursday for our first Cyber Thursday night bike night. But one of the things I want you to do is you are absolutely one of my inspirations when it comes to the creation of motorcycle media. I want you to tell everybody what you have going on, because you know the stuff you're doing over at JMP is incredible. You're always busy pushing the forefront of digital and social media. So clue everybody in where they can come check out your work.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, the best place to go is to our blog on the JMP Cycles website. It's called Countersteer, and that's where I'm not going to give any spoilers, but that's where we do our bike comparisons and that. And I did compare the Indian to the Road Glide, and I tell you what, which I'm known to do. I ruffle a few feathers, and Thursday we can bring that up, and we can talk about the feathers I ruffled, and you know, kind of my opinions on that. But go to Countersteer. We're constantly putting up new articles. Our YouTube page, you know, Steve and I here in Sturgis, I don't know, a lot of people don't realize this. We make all of our videos here in Sturgis. Yeah. And we make about 15 a month, which is a fair amount for just the two of us to hustle through. And we just did another teaser I'll give you guys. We just did a studio remodel with the guys from Go Fast Don't Die. It turned out amazing. I'm going to be finishing up tomorrow. And we will be debuting that next Thursday. We'll have it right on here for you guys. The Challenger will be there in the new studio, so it'll be a nice look for you guys.
Look, Mama comes in at the last minute and says a museum will be ready. Looking forward to seeing all our friends.
Yeah, it will.
Right on.
No doubt.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Patrick Garvin, JP Cycles. Make sure you go check them out over at JMP, all their social media and website. Patrick, thank you for coming on tonight, buddy.
I always appreciate you guys having me.
We'll see you on Thursday.
See you, Patrick.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so
Can I say something before I forget?
yes, please.
Only because I wanted to do this at the beginning and I totally spaced it.
Please, Blondie, please continue.
Well, I want to send out a heartfelt thank you to one of our subscribers and followers, Andreas Gerler. He did something so very kind for Cycle Source this week. Just to say thank you. And I'd like to say thank you back and acknowledge him. I don't need to put out there what he did for us. But he's a good man. I've never met him. I don't know who he is. But just the fact that he took a few minutes to acknowledge Shop Talk and Cycle Source is truly appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. So, Andreas, thank you very much.
If you wonder, we know about this stuff going on and read the messages and read the emails and like we do, man. And sometimes we're literally on the edge. Sometimes on the edge of our seats. Sometimes at the edge of our wit.
Yeah, and sometimes we're not always awesome at responding in a timely manner, but please know that we do read them, we do appreciate them, and they always come at just the right time. So absolutely, thank you.
So a lot of good information out there. Marilyn Stemp probably gets the comment of the night with could be the best Sturgis ever, the year that takes it back for the people who made it. Absolutely. That's one of the best comments I've read in a long time. And burning a shithouse in effigy would just put the icing on that cake.
Hey, Patrick said, wait a minute. Patrick said he had a big yard.
And he said he would light the shithouse with his back tire.
This might be the year.
I just want to say how awesome that would be.
We can make that happen.
So listen, friends and neighbors, family, motorcycle miscreants all around the world, I want to thank you guys for watching Shop Talk again. Shop Talk, in case you missed us at the onset of our little show here, every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, through the courtesy of Choppertown Nation, Cycle Source Magazine, plenty of our supporters around the motorcycle world. We go live from the Dennis Kirk studio. Remember, Dennis Kirk is the people who bring you parts every day. We ship today is their motto, and that means if you're late like me, last minute Larry, you can get your shit tomorrow. Get on the computer, get it dialed up. 50 years they've been bringing the best parts and accessories for motorcycle aftermarket. Check them out today at denniskirk.com.
We should actually change your name legally to that.
Last minute Larry.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be bad.
Wouldn't be a lie either.
Again, I want to go to the sad news of the loss of one of our, personally for the show and the magazine, one of our dear, dear brothers. I want to take just 1 minute and bring some memories from one of the damnedest bluesmen I know out there, Good Time Charlie.
I'm a southern boy, motorcycle man.
Charlie making that show at the Buffalo Chip on the big stage, and man, that was his everything, boy. That he made it to the big stage at the Buffalo Chip meant the world to Charlie. I want to thank the Buffalo Chip for providing us with that footage late in the day today, so we could get it up there and share some Charlie memories with everybody. And at this point of the show, I just want to tell you guys, listen, it might be longer, it might be shorter. Figure out a way to make it easier for the people around you, the people in your community. Be nice to each other, because at the end of all this, they're the same assholes you're going to have to put up with, even when we're not stuck side by side in the same house. Trust me.
Brat.
Mark?
Yeah,
Heather, come on. You guys are a little short on the support thing
I know my
tonight.
neighbors, I'm that guy. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm that guy.
But I choose to be stuck in the same house, same place. I'd be here if we were on lockdown or not. So.
Well, right on.
You're stuck with me.
Well, listen, one more time, I want to tell you guys thanks again for watching, letting us into your headspace, into your living room. And if you don't know that, you can actually watch this show on the big screen TV in your living room, because we are now broadcasting in HD. That's the reason I'm on edge here, is like, this is new software, new program, everything's going out HD now. You can sit on your butt and watch YouTube on the big screen and watch this program live every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next week, when we do Thursday night bike nights, brought to you by Heather and Missy and a couple other people that they conned into this bullshit.
I know. I can't believe I actually...
Suckers!
Or until you join us next week for another episode of Shop Talk, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same chopper time.
Same chopper channel.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.